So here's an interesting one. We can talk all day about the pros of Denver, the cons of Denver, what it's like living here, but if you're thinking of moving to Denver, what are the things that you might not know before you get here? Things that the online lists promoting our fair city aren't necessarily going to tell you. Well, that's the type of thing I aim to communicate today. We're going to go through my list of the top 6 things that nobody really tells you before you move to Denver. Hit it. And real quick before we get going, if you are thinking of moving to Denver and need somebody local to help give you the lay of the land, I would love to be that guy. Through doing these videos, I've become a little bit of a Denver relocation specialist, if I do say so myself. So please, if this is the situation you're in and you just want someone to talk to, reach out to me. I would be happy to help. All right, things they don't tell you before moving to Denver. Number 1, not actually in the mountains. Now, many people know this, so this may not even be worth saying, but a lot of people, when they see the marketing for Colorado and for Denver, they see skiing and hiking and all these outdoor activities, which include the mountains. And those are a big part of our recreation here because Denver is so close to the mountains, but it's not in the mountains. Denver itself is actually very, very flat. In fact, historically, Denver has often been known as the Queen City of the Plains. So we are in the plains, right next to those glorious Rocky Mountains. How far away? Well, depending on where you are in town, it's probably about a half-hour drive to the foothill, which is where the mountains start. And then to get to the full mountain, 10,000 to 14,000 feet, rocky peaks, John Denver was likely singing about, let's say, an hour from town. So, right next to the mountains, but highly accessible. Number 2 thing is spring lingers. We do have a very temperate and moderate climate here in Denver, Colorado. This winter has been actually pretty snowy and rough, a bit annoying, but in general, I've talked at length about the winters in Denver. It snows, it melts, it's actually no big deal. What I have found living in Denver after living in some other Midwestern cities and states and stuff like that is that winter starts later and actually seems to go a little bit later too. So it's often late October or even in November when it's still beautiful and sunny and we're going, when is winter gonna happen? And then eventually it does start. And it goes and lingers a little longer than you might expect into March and even into April. A number of years I've been here, we've had significant snowstorms, more than one, in the month of April. You're kind of ready for it to be done. So spring takes a little longer to get here, but when it does, it's worth it. Number 3, it's very sunny. Again, we talk about this all the time, so maybe this goes without saying, but it really is extremely sunny here. Many people call it the Sunshine State. I'm kind of trying to steal that from Florida. I'm sure they're gonna let us have it, but 300 plus days of sunshine a year is the general rule of thumb. We just don't have too many gloomy, cloudy days. That was a surprise for me coming from other places. Number 4, a lot of forest fires. It seems like maybe not every summer, but at least every other summer, we're having significant forest fires in the high country, which threaten the surrounding communities or just, overall bad for the health of the state and the air quality. And a lot of that time, the air quality even gets all the way to Denver. So more than once, I've had in the city of Denver air quality alerts where they're saying, hey, because of the smoke, the air quality is so bad that actually you shouldn't be outside exercising and doing that type of thing if you don't have to until tomorrow or the next day. One distinct memory was I was sitting in my backyard in Park Hill having happy hour with friends while very subtly, but still, ash rained down on the table. Yeah, it was weird. That was one of the bad ones, but we still had a good time. Number 5, there are hardly any bugs. Being from Minnesota, where it's warm and humid in the summer, I am used to bugs. The old joke is the state bird of Minnesota is a mosquito. But seriously, they're all over the place. It's a great place to spend the summer, but you gotta be careful. You gotta make sure you have bug spray or those citronella candles going or whatever. Here in Denver, completely different deal. The majority of the time, there are no mosquitoes and not many bugs to speak of because of how dry it is. To the point of in a lot of homes, there aren't even screens on the doors that go to the patio or the porch or whatever. People would just leave the doors open. I do all the time, and generally we don't have any problems. It is actually really a beautiful way to live in the summer, the spring, and the fall, have that indoor-outdoor vibe and not have to worry about letting bugs in. And number 6, per that last point, it is dry here in Denver. It is high desert, semi-arid, whatever that means, but a lot of people will tell you this, that, oh, it's dry, but I'm bringing it up here to really drive the point home. If you're coming from an area with any humidity at all, this is gonna be a shock to you. It's not a bad thing necessarily, because even when it gets hot in the summer, if you go in the shade, it feels comfortable because we don't have the humidity, but year-round dryness is a real thing. Get ready for lots of chapstick, drinking lots and lots of water to stay hydrated, because hydration, my friends, is key. Again, if you're thinking about moving to town, I would love to be a resource for you. It is my goal to be your go-to Denver real estate resource. I will put my contact information below. Otherwise, love you. See you next time.